Thanks for joining us today. My name is Elizabeth Butler and I'm the Global Product Manager for the Coating segment for Titanium Technologies. With me today is Dr. Carina. She's responsible for market-facing sustainability for Titanium Technologies. Together, we will discuss how Ti-Pure Select TS6300 enables more sustainable coatings. Carina, sustainability means different things to different people. What do you have in mind when you talk about the sustainability benefits of Ti-Pure Select TS6300?
When we apply the triple bottom line concept of people, planet, profit to our new product, we find that Ti-Pure Select TS6300 delivers performance because it delivers better hiding power, efficiency because it allows to optimize titanium dioxide consumption, and reduced environmental footprint.
Sounds like a win-win situation. I understand the performance and the efficiency piece, better paint with the ideal amount of TiO2, but how do you measure the environmental footprint? It sounds complicated.
Well, let us take a look at the paint value chain. To make paint, you need to blend ingredients like titanium dioxide, resin, additives, and so on. So, you consume energy and materials. When you trace these ingredients back to their cradle, you will find that they also require energy and raw materials in their production. Transportation and packaging come into play as well. When you add all the resources consumed and emissions released in these processes together, then you get an idea of the cradle-to-gate footprint of a can of paint. But that's not the end of the story. The paint will be applied to a wall, and the building maintenance may require multiple repaints until the building reaches its end of life. To get to the cradle-to-grave footprint of paint, you need to consider how much paint it takes to cover a certain area for the desired amount of time. Only an assessment over the entire product life cycle gives a fair representation of the environmental footprint of paint. If you stopped short at the cradle-to-gate piece, then you would ignore differences in paint performance that can have a very large impact on the final outcome.
Okay, I think I get the concept now, but how do you actually measure the environmental footprint?
Life cycle assessment has become the gold standard in environmental footprinting. Life cycle assessment is a science-based method to account for resource consumption and emissions to the environment over the entire life cycle of a product. We used life cycle assessment to compare the cradle-to-grave environmental footprint of paints made with Ti-Pure Select TS6300 versus equivalent paints made with our incumbent universal Ti2 pigment grade. In a comprehensive analysis, we looked at all the footprint metrics implemented in the Eco-Footprint tool of the European Paint Association (CEPE) and found that reformulations using Ti-Pure Select TS6300 delivered paints with lower cradle-to-grave footprints in every single category based on this standard. Life cycle assessment is governed by ISO standards. The ISO standards require independent external reviews to ensure the quality of life cycle assessment and their conclusions. We have followed these guidelines as validated by the independent international verification body DECRA. This is why you can trust our evaluation of Ti-Pure Select TS6300 footprint reduction potential as measured through the ISO lifecycle assessment process.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Yes, there was some effort involved, but I believe the view was worth the climb. Solid facts from an externally validated study provide valuable proof points.
So how can coatings manufacturers use Ti-Pure Select TS6300 to enhance their paints?
In essence, coatings manufacturers can approach footprint reductions from two different angles. One option is to focus on performance and to develop paints with better coverage so that the footprint is reduced because it takes less paint to get the job done. Ultimately, this approach would take you to one code high. The other option is to focus on productivity. It is to reformulate paints to achieve the desired performance with a lower ingredient footprint. With Type-U Select TS6300, paint manufacturers can choose either option or combine them in a hybrid approach.
And your life cycle assessment can quantify the footprint savings for both of these options?
Absolutely. We have analyzed several paint formulations in details, but let me first illustrate the benefits in generic terms.
The performance option sounds interesting. How would that work?
Type-U Select TS6300 allows producers of quality flat paints to develop paints with better hiding performance at equal or lower titanium dioxide consumption. In this case, the cradle-to-gate footprint of the new paint will likely be similar or slightly lower than that of the incumbent product. However, because the new paint offers more coverage per can of paint, it will take less paint to get the job done. Consequently, the overall cradle-to-grave footprint of the new paint using Type-U Select T6300 will be lower.
So when it comes to the footprint of a paint over its entire life cycle, paint coverage really does make a difference.
Yes, indeed. Paint coverage is one of the most influential parameters in the cradle-to-grave environmental footprint of paints.
But didn't you say that Type-U Select TS6300 also gives paint formulators another option to reduce the environmental footprint of their products?
Yes, you can maintain paint quality and still reduce the environmental footprint if you choose your ingredients wisely. Let's now look at the productivity option. Type-U Select TS6300 allows producers of quality flat paints to optimize titanium dioxide usage without sacrificing paint quality. The efficient use of raw materials reduces the footprint that comes with the paint's ingredients and consequentially reduces the cradle-to-gate footprint of the new paint. Because the new paint performs to the same standard as the incumbent one, paint coverage remains the same. And because it doesn't take more paint to get the job done, the advantage of a reduced cradle-to-gate footprint will directly result in a reduced cradle-to-grave footprint.
So to sum it all up, Type-U Select TS6300 gives paint manufacturers real choices to reduce the footprints of their paints. Carina, you showed in generic terms how we assess Type-U Select TS6300 for our model formulations. Could you share more details in one-on-one discussions with value chain partners? What support can we offer to paint manufacturers that would like to explore for themselves how they can bring more sustainable paints to the market?
Of course, we are glad to share our insights and expertise with value chain partners. For those who want to understand our life cycle assessment in more detail, we can share background materials that explain our key assumptions and show quantified footprint reductions for exemplary paint formulations. Building on a shared understanding of the methods, we can help to integrate environmental footprint analysis into new formulation development. We are eager to become your trusted partner in the cradle-to-grave lifecycle optimization of paint. Together, we can advance sustainability in the paint value chain.
You can contact us through our Get Started page at www.ts6300.com. Thank you for your attention.